Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your co-host, as always, Yogi, and is joining me is my good man, Shanair, and my other friend, Matt Myers, and we are super excited because Richmond went on the road, brought home 3 points, and for the first 2 games on the road, have 4 points out of 6. Isn't too bad, right, guys?
I'll take it. I will take it.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't too bad when you're playing at Charlotte, who looks like they might actually be something this year, and at Greenville, who's always near the top. I think that goes past not bad into, quite successful.
Yeah, I think a lot of the podcasts this week around USL League One and Championship picked Greenville definitely. I don't think anyone picked Richmond. I think I saw mostly everyone go Greenville.
Yeah, there were a couple of draw picks.
Huh?
There were a couple of draw picks, which fine, I'll allow those, but
yeah, it's good to see though. I mean, let me step back. Let's talk about it. Greenville has a new stadium. I think it's Paladin Stadium or something like that.
They're playing at a new stadium. They don't. That's the thing. They don't have a stadium because they're a poverty team who, just like Omaha, just like some of these other clown, teams out here who can't even have their own stadium and are going day by day, different stadium, week by week. It seems like losers.
So let me ask you this: would you rather take football lines on the field or baseball stadium dirt?
City stadium.
Correct answer. That's the only answer I would allow. More than enough about the stadium, man. I mean, look, I give credit to Greenville where it's due. Like, for what they have been through, and if you haven't been following up with the whole stadium situation, I would say reach out to USL League One Review. They've been kind of talking about it over there, but for what it looked like, I mean, the camera angle was nice, and overall, I think Rich Page and Henry went down for the game, and they said it was still a good experience. So that's good to see. I mean, it just sucks that you would kind of wish more teams in lower leagues had their own stadium or control of their own stadium, because I think Union Omaha is kind of in that same situation. There's a couple of others I can think of at the top of my head, but hope it works out for them. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, we got a 1-0 win. Richmond Kickers 1-0 over Greenville. And I want to say when the lineup dropped, I just assumed the Kira was in it. So I was like, oh, nothing changes. It's the same 11. And then it wasn't until Ted texted me. It was like, where's the Kira? And I was like, what you mean? He's about to be on the field. And that's when I learned that Palmquist was going to be in goal. And there was a miniature heart attack that I had because only thing in my head that I thought about was reverting back to Fort Lauderdale 2 years ago.
That wasn't him.
I know it wasn't him, but the last time we've had a backup goalkeeper and it surprised all of us, that's the result that popped in my head. And I was just like, But shout out to Will.
No. Last time, the surprise step in was last year in the Open Cup game where Palmquist threw a shutout, at Fusion.
That is true.
Man has never let a goal up for the Kickers ever.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like we like to say, we are goalkeeper FC. We develop great goalkeepers, and in this game, man, I gotta say, Palmquist he did really well. What were you guys' thoughts on his performance in the game thus far?
Well, I feel that there wasn't a lot that he had to do because, to be honest with you, Greenville only had 2 shots on target. Mm-hmm. They had, I think, about 10 shots total, but only 2 of them were on target. And the one closest chance they had, I don't think Palmquist or any goalkeeper, to be honest with you, would have been able to react to it. That shot from close range that rifled off the crossbar. I do feel that in this game, Palmquist really wasn't called to do too much. I did see a couple of mistakes also from claiming balls in the air, and he had once or twice where he let it slip between his fingers. One time it just rolled out of bounds for a corner, and another time I think it was Dakota who just cleared it out. But apart from that, I don't think he really had a lot to do. And because of that, I feel like I would hold judgment until he comes into a game where he is a little busier.
Yeah.
Mark? Oh, my fault. You can go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, I mean, there wasn't, a ton of direct action. I mean, it looked, the sound you couldn't tell, but it looked like he was really working to communicate with Dakota and Ani pretty frequently, and the stops he needed to make he made. We talked about this last week. I mean, the kickers have a good habit of giving opponents one chance. You'll get one good look. You better take advantage of it, and instead they decided to hit the post, and then the rest of the time it was shots off target, or again the easy saves that we were talking about Kira last week, grabbing up. So he did his job. Can't complain.
I was just gonna say, man, how good was it to see Will kind of do the Akira fall every time the ball comes to him? So Akira does his thing, like he'll grab the ball and he'll just like slowly fall over like a 70-year-old man. He just lay on top of the ball, and it was like I think like 2 or 3 times Will did that, and I was like, all right, I know we're good because he's doing that fall and let me know, like, all right, everything's fine. This wasn't a big shot. Shanair, you brought it up. Like, I do remember one instance where I think Will was going to go punch for a ball, but he kind of like missed it, and luckily Dakota got it out of bounds. But do you just feel like some of those mistakes was just like really like first true start in the league jitters?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel that it's just those haven't had a lot of real in-game playing time situations. Yeah. I don't worry about little things like that because the more playing time he gets, the sharper he'll be with things like that. The easier it'll be. It'll be a been there, done that situation for him where he'll be able to just jump up and scoop that out of the air and do the Akira slow drop to the floor.
Yeah, like that. Matt, let me ask you this, man. Outside of Joe Rice, I don't think we've had another backup goalkeeper like Will that we feel comfortable with playing a game.
It's been a while. I mean, like when we kind of had that combo of guys who should have been backups, and then loans, coming in during 17, 18 when you had Spangenberg and Turner was showing up sometimes and Dykstra was showing up sometimes. So you had a rotation of guys who would be there. But I think in terms of 2 full rostered players, yeah.
Well, I mean, outside of that, Will, like you guys said, Will did not have a very busy night. But I will say this, Matt, your tweets about the jersey are hilarious to me because
I'm right.
Yeah, you are right. And there was a lot of so let me ask you guys this. When you guys were watching the game, did you lose the kickers players on the white lines, like on the thick white lines? And then you were like, oh, sorry.
A little bit. Yep.
Because it was funny because I was losing the kickers players in the white lines, and then the Greenville players, they all decided to wear this light
green that looks like turf.
Green, and they get mixed in with the field. And I'm like, I'm thankful I'm not colorblind because I would lose everybody on this field.
You know who you could see well on the field?
Who?
I can't remember when it was, but I felt like there was one wayward pass the kickers made that it was obvious that there was a Greenville defender between the player with the ball and where they were trying to go. Yes, and
half, right?
yes, and I was like, that's probably got to do with the jerseys. It just felt to me that because it was like this is just too obvious for it not to be a situation where you take a quick glance and your eyes don't register that there's a player there because he's wearing green just like the field.
Well, they were trying to do the St. Louis thing of having the striker back up and getting a back pass for a goal.
Yeah.
But unlike our first game this year, this time we actually do score a goal. And it's from, I want to say the debutante, but the new signing, Kelton Bamber.
New kid on the block.
Yeah, new kid, but Kelton Bamber, he scores a curler, a delicious curler.
Hold on. Carlton Belmar.
What did I say? I was
trying
to say
I don't know what you said, but it wasn't that.
I know. I was trying to say it way too fast. Carlton Belmar. I should know this because I was trying to make a tifo for him due to Carlton, like the first but I was trying to say it way too fast. So Belmar. God, now, Lord Jesus. That's a new name I'm going to mess up for no apparent reason. And it's just going to become second nature to me. Belmar scored a delicious curler off of a set piece.
It wasn't just a set piece. I laughed as soon as it happened because anyone who's been at a kickers game, especially in the secondary area, knows that there's people who are irrationally foolish about short corners. And guess what? 100% of our goals this year from short corners.
Yeah. Look, it happened without even like second guess. Like as soon as I went into the Facebook group, I saw John's text about it. And I was like,
I knew John was gonna say something. I knew he was gonna say something.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, this is a great goal for him. Definitely, it's a good goal for Belmar, but it also like a goal that kind of sets the tone for the kickers because then it's kind of like now Greenville has to open up a little bit more. Like, I know Darren talked about it in his pregame about how he's expecting Greenville to kind of press up a little bit more, to kind of open up space. But now with this goal being scored in the 12th minute, it kind of seemed like it changed up Greenville's game plan a lot, right?
I mean, later on in the game, I don't think they changed it up too much right away, just because it happens sometimes, and there's still basically 80 minutes to go. But you definitely saw them make some more aggressive substitutions even early in the second half than maybe they would have otherwise.
Yeah, I know they had their new 33-year-old striker on the field as well. I don't know, man. It didn't feel like a Greenville team of the past, and maybe just because this is like what we're used to seeing from Greenville. Like I'm used to seeing Greenville just sit back, be fine with not holding on to the ball. This Greenville team was really trying to press up and like trying to press high, and Richmond was just trying to play through the press. Did you guys kind of see the same thing that I see?
I think what we're seeing is a little bit more diversity in the way the kickers attack. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I don't know. I feel that this it's going to win out, because when you can on a regular basis diversify the way you attack, that will then allow for situations where one thing doesn't work, you can throw it out and just try something else. One thing that I felt that was our issue last season was, there were a lot of games where we were trying to put a square peg in a round hole, and it's not going to work. This system isn't going to work. The way we're doing this isn't going to work. But we kept trying the same exact way. And one eye opener, I think, was that playoff game that we lost last season. To be honest with you, once we went down, once the other team went down to 10 men and they got themselves that goal, they just parked the bus. And the way the kickers had been attacking all year long led to we're just going to keep doing this over and over again. And that wasn't working against a team that would park the bus, even if it was 10 men. So I like the fact that there's some difference in the way that we are attacking. We're trying this, then we're trying that. That gives me the that allows me to relax a bit and be like, okay, we're trying different things. The players are getting used to different things, and that means they're going to be a lot more diverse, a lot more creative in their attack.
Anything you want to add, Matt? Or
Yeah, I mean, so you were asking about Greenville's press a little bit too, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that was scaring me a little bit, especially in the first half, because they're pressing high, and there were some moments along the way where guys did not do great dealing with it, and it was resulting in turnovers, and our own third. A little bit, obviously, nothing really came of it, but there's work to be done there, to be sure. And I mean, I understand the concept behind it, but I also just see way too often teams get burned by it, and to me at least it feels like there's a lot more immediate negative that can come out of it than the positive side. So like when like Simon or Ani or somebody kind of gets pinned in, it's like, okay, I'm okay just pumping it up there and seeing if Bentley or whoever can get their head on it and knock it down that way. It might not be the prettiest, but if that's what high press is going to do to us, sometimes you got to rip the release valve.
Yeah, I will say this though. There was a little bit more. Shanir, we made a joke at your house the other weekend about that that ping ball all the way to the left that Jalen was so famous for doing. I did see a lot more of that this game than I did in the Charlotte game. Where the Charlotte game, they were really just they were committed to trying to play out the back. This game, it was kind of just like, look, if your first option cut off and your second option cut off, ping that ball up top to the left to either Carlton or Bentley and get it out of pressure. So I was a little bit happy about seeing that.
But that's what I was saying. Like that's what I'm okay with. I'm not okay with that being the go-to. I am okay with that pinged ball being this option isn't available, this option isn't available. Let's ping it out there, get the ball out of pressure.
Yeah.
And that to me that's the way it should go. And I'm really happy that it's now no longer the first route, it's plan C.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel like also like the not the culture, I should say that. The philosophy of this team is changing. And granted, that's because like you lost once again, you lost Ethan Brown, you lost Jonathan Bolaños, who I watched play today on MLS Next Pro. Did pretty well. But so far, the lack of pure chances in front of goal has been slim. It's only been three shots on goal. One of those goals. So, 33%. I don't know if that's too bad or not. Yeah, it hasn't been a lot of chances on goal like we're used to. Like, I think, what was it? This time last year, we were celebrating 4 goals against Tucson, and we were like, this is fun. So there were a little bit of discourse after the game about, a little bit of frustration about the lack of pure chances in front of goal, but it feels like right now this team is very reliant on their defense. And I think that's not a bad assumption to assume just because of that's where all the continuity seems to be at right now,
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but also, I mean, these are 2 games on the road. And, road wins in any league, and especially this league, come at a premium, most of the time. I mean, how much did we hear last year? It wasn't true, but, kickers can't do it on the road, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not like we were going out and blitzing people, 3-0, 4-0 away when we would win. They were usually 1 goal wins, and that's the norm. So I think if, over the next couple home games, we're seeing more of the same, okay, then there might be a real question there. But I think positive out of all this is the team is showing that they can be able to be defensively sturdy when they set out that way, because that wasn't always the case last year.
Yeah, they seem a lot more. I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but the defense of the team, like Matt, you were saying, it seems a lot more sturdy than it did in years. Not saying the defense was like a worrying point last year, but it just it feels good knowing that the defense can carry the team where the offense kind of catches up, and it's not the other way around where we're getting in 4-3, 3-2 shootouts left and right, and our defense is leaking in holes. I mean, leaking in goals, not holes. Yeah. Players that stood out to you. Anyone that stood out to you? For me personally, Neil, definitely. He's going to score one of these goals where he just solemns through the middle of the box and just taps it into the back corner. He's going to score one of these eventually. But Neil, so far, these past 2 games have really stood out to me.
Yeah, no, that type of goal, he almost scored that one in this game. I was I was on my feet when he started cutting through all of those players and almost put that in the back of the net. But one player that really stood out to me, he was good, he was solid defensively, but he had a similar situation working his way up the field where Hornsby literally just practically took out the entire left side of the field. Like he took out Greenville's entire right side and just cut right through all of them and almost got a good cross in. Unfortunately, his cross was grabbed by the goalkeeper, but I was not expecting that from him. I really was not. That was a really, really awesome moment in the game. He stood out to me. Apart from those 2, I think everyone else just had a very steady game, just steady performance, consistent and reliable. I don't know if it's okay to say, but this wasn't a very exciting game. Both teams had chances. Most of them were off target or were blocked. I think both kickers and Greenville both each had 2 shots on target. The possession was leaning a little more towards Greenville's side, but there wasn't a lot of excitement. And I think that Greenville were very good defensively, but lacked creativity in the attack. And because of that, it kind of stagnated the game because their defense was shutting us down, but they weren't bringing anything forward that was really putting us under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, nah, I agree with you on that. I mean, it kind of just felt like Richmond was. I know some of the substitutions, because the only attacking player we had on the bench was O'Gordon. So outside of that, everything else was either midfield or defense.
I mean, Luke's plays up front at this point.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know what you mean. I know what you're going for, and
yeah.
I think you can argue, Zhao as a attacking player potentially. Not necessarily a defensive player. How about that?
Yeah, no, you're right. So with that being said, like we did have 2 more debutants coming to the field. We had God, I'm messing with it. Meacham and Chandler come onto the field to get their not debuts. Well, Meacham's debut. Did Dwyer play last year?
He got in a few games.
Okay. So he came onto the field this year. Another player that I think stood out again, and I think he's really showing his worth here, is Michael Hornsby. Now, I will put this caveat out there. As much as I love Hornsby defensively, attacking wise, sometimes he can get like he gets very stuck. Not stuck. He gets very like he can go on those runs where it's like, all right, you're getting way too high up the field, and then he'll lose the ball, and then kind of like now the counter attack was happening down this side. I think it happened like maybe once or twice. So that's something to keep an eye for. But outside of that, I mean, the guy's had an amazing 2-game start to start with. And I think another player too, Matt. I know you were kind of on this case last week, but Sukau, he effectively took Devin Boyce out the game. I think he was marking him most of the game, and he did a great job marking him out.
I'm blaming the uniforms on me never noticing him because I think he's just like blending in with the other guys for me because I just have not been able to pick him up on the field at all.
So what I've realized for him is that he's not like Ethan. Like Ethan last year was great at being like a creator and like he was good at being a creator and also being like a fulcrum. Like,
well, and he had that flow that was able to pick out easily.
Yeah, with Sukal, he's very quiet on the field. Like you don't notice, like back to Craig, you're right. Like you don't notice him on the field, but I don't think like it's a bad thing. Like it's almost as if like he's doing his job so well that it's making Zaka's job a lot easier. You get what I'm saying? Like Zaka's not having to put out this fire and that fire and this fire because last year Ethan and Neil were further up Ethan was further up the field. Neil, of course, he's pretty much playing attacking mid. But this year, it's kind of like Neil has someone beside him that can be like, oh, you put out the fire first, and I'll come behind and hit it with the fire extinguisher. This is a safety precaution. Now, I will say this, though. He don't need to hit the wings. Like, Sukal is a midfielder. He's not a winger.
No.
No. He's not a winger. But as being as a midfielder, like, I feel good with it so far. And, it's early on, but I feel good with him being in that spot. So, anything else from this game? It wasn't like you said, like we said before we started. It wasn't really like a very exciting game.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But anything else from this game that we need to touch on?
Glad Chandler's evidently okay because I think his first touch of the game was just getting absolutely crushed with balls straight to the forehead from about a yard out.
That's the second time that we've had a player catch a ball square to the face. I think Gordon caught one last week, and now is Chandler. So maybe we need to start. Sorry, I just caught the score of the Mexico-Jamaica game for a second. Yeah. Matt, I'm gonna pass it over to you so we can do our top threes of the game.
Sure. What do y'all want to go first, or you want me to lead off?
I'll go first.
All right, what you got?
So I will give my 3 points starting off to Mr. William Palmquist. Did an amazing job stepping in for Akira on, I'm assuming, short notice, because when I went there Thursday, there was no rumblings of him stepping in. So
you think Darren's going to tell you anything?
I mean, okay, so when I saw Akira, I asked Akira, I was like, oh, hey, like, congrats on the baby, because I assumed the baby was already born. And he was like, no, like, he's not due till April. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's why I was just like, So hopefully everything's okay with the little one that's coming soon. But my 3 points go to Will. I give 2 points to Sukal. Like I said, he's doing a great job. Like he's helping out Neil and he's putting out fires for Zaka and keeping Zaka out of a yellow card hell. And my 1 point I will give to I'll give it to Carlton. Scored a great goal, got everything started for us there. So Shanira, I'll pass it on to you, my friend.
All right. 3 points for me, I think, is gonna go to I think I'm gonna have to give that one to Hornsby. He was solid on that left side. I don't think there was a lot of traffic that made it through on that side with him there. And of course that jinking run with the ball through the entire right side of Greenville's team really stood out. If that cross had connected with any of the Kickers players that were in the box, that was a sure goal. I think I'm going to give my 2 points, same as you, Elliot Suko. Solid in the midfield. I just want to see a little bit more distribution out of him on the attacking side of things. But he, like you said, he is taking some of that that dirty work job off of Zaka's shoulders. And 1 point, same here, Belmar, beautiful strike. First off, not only a beautiful strike, but also to just to cut inside of the on-rushing defender, place that ball into space in front of him, and just rifle it home. A very, very well taken goal.
All right. I don't know if this happened at all last year, but I got different stuff altogether. So I gave my 3, to Dakota, because let's think about it. The whole game you had, Castro, to deal with. They had, Labovitz to deal with. They had their other new guy, McKinnon or whatever his name was, there to deal with. What did any of them do? Like, okay, Labovitz had the one, that ran the post, but other than that, what did any of them do all game?
Labovitz was probably the most dangerous, but yeah, you're right. They didn't really do anything,
right? So I had that. Gave Belmar my 2 because not only did he have the goal, and to be real, goals make a big difference, but his possession play, especially that last 15 minutes or so, he was able to get that ball, help hold the ball up, kill the game off, really effectively, I thought. So like that, and then I gave my 1 to Ani because again, I think kind of goes similar to Dakota. It's not Dakota had a little bit better game. That's all.
Not too bad there. I'm trying to clear my throat. Lord Jesus, I almost got taken out. Yeah. I mean, I have no issues with that. So yeah, that's that game. Moving on to the game that probably matters the most, the game we've been waiting all for, is the home opener. It's this Saturday.
Yeah.
We play against a Charlotte side that, okay, I don't know how to read their win over South Georgia. Like, I don't know if it's a case of, is Charlotte really, really that good? Or is Pablo Yara just not that good of a goalkeeper?
Well, he's not. I mean, that's long since clear. I don't know if like TJ Bush is hurt or something, but I don't know anybody who's watched that team play in the last couple of years is like, yeah, this is our guy. Other than he's got some kind of like sentimental tug on the ownership or something, because dude sucks.
Yeah.
3
goals that Charlotte let in. The first one was skipped in front of him when he dived, so I'll let that die. The second one, that's probably the worst one. It was similar to Will's, where he goes into the air and Yara just completely whiffs on it and misses it. And then I think the third one, I think they were down to 10 men at that point.
Right. So yeah, it's a little bit of that. Like I mean, good win for Charlotte.
Yeah.
But they were playing against 10 for about half the game, and they got a little bit of help. I don't think they could have realistically expected.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a Charlotte team that we just played against last weekend. So, let me ask this before I go to my other question. How would Darren set his team up for this game, knowing that we're playing them for the second time in 3 weeks?
I mean,
well, I can see him
not set up like in terms of like who's going to play, because we know who's going to play. Like,
yeah,
but in terms of like, how is he going to attack the game? Like, how is he going to go about tactics wise?
To be honest with you, by doing just that, attacking. That was one pattern that we saw last season. Every time we played at home, the kickers played more attacking. They played more aggressively. They played more. They played more on the attacking edge, and I think that's what he's going to do. Against the last time against Charlotte, they were at home. We were away. He was very pragmatic with his approach to the game. He was very defensive, and he was, he played it safe. But I feel like this season he's going to do the same thing he was doing last season. When we're at home, guns blazing.
All right. Matt, what you think, man?
Yeah, Darren's teams always come out more on the front foot at home. So, still the same, shape, still the same general style, but just, a little bit more proactive approach to it. So I think it won't be too different than what we've seen in past years. I don't know if it'll be as high octane as some of the home games last year because we got a nice run of 3-4 goals at some of those home games. I'm not ready to say we're gonna hit that, but I think it'll be a bit more interesting to watch than the last couple games.
So I gotta disagree with you. I think this game gonna be a lot more defensive. I mean, right now, like I think Darren's not relying. I think Darren's a little bit more honed in on this defense carrying this team. Probably till we get like the 5-6 game stretch. But I think right now, like I think the goal against Charlotte is pretty much that same game plan you had on in the first game. Kind of absorb kind of a lot of the pressure because they're gonna put out what 5 forwards. They're gonna try to put Kelly, Bennett, Mbuyu, Ibarra, Obiton. Yeah, like they're gonna start the game out probably with 5 forwards and try to press as all hell. And I think if Richmond can hold on and get the space to open up, I'm sure there's chances that they can create and go after it. So I wouldn't be surprised in this effort if it's like a hard fought 1-0 victory or 2-1 or something like that. But I don't know. I think the makeup of this team has changed to be more defensive right now, just because that's where all the continuity is, and I still think that like a lot of this attack is still gelling at certain points. Definitely in the final third for me, from what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do think the front three. I would say, I think Emmy and Matt might be a little more comfortable with each other, but adding Carlton to the mix is creating a situation where they're kind of learning on the go, learning each other on the go sorts. And I mean that's fine. It's bound to happen, especially when you have new signings coming in. But I still think that if Darren wants to do something to build on last year's performance, he's gonna have to keep that home high octane pattern going. Because if he doesn't, it's just gonna be we win 1-0 here, 0-0 draw here, we lose 2-1 here, at type situation. And I don't think that's going to get us to the heights that we reached last season.
I mean, it might not right now. I mean, it might not. If you stick with this out the whole year, but I think like right now, especially like if we all know the makeup of USL League One. Like if you can nick your way to a couple of wins across the way, like it builds you up. But for right now, like as the offense learns how to work with each other and Darren embeds pieces and try to cultivate new parts of this team, yeah, why not rely on that defense? That's been the hallmark of this team. Like, I think 2020 this team was very defensive. So just grow from there. In the meantime, we also learned who our U.S. Open Cup opponent is. Cleveland SC had a 1-0 win over Lionsbridge FC, so we won't have a fun game in the U.S. Open Cup game, as it was bound to be a party with Lionsbridge coming in. But we do have Cleveland SC coming. I believe the game was April 6th, which is a Thursday.
Yep.
So I'm sure. Yeah, we might be able to record because we don't have a game that weekend, so that'd be fun.
Nope.
No. So, okay. Well, I guess we'll talk about it then. But just real quick, do you think Darren might just go with a full starting lineup in that game since there's no game on the following weekend? Like,
I don't know about full lineup, but I think I'll probably, maybe go like a blended lineup and have, some guns on the bench. Like even last year when they played Nova and when they played, Fusion, like Emmy came off the bench and be able to help out, and they rotated few defenders, and so it was always kind of a mixed team. I remember I think Neil started both games. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Same thing. Ooh. Trying to make sure I got everything covered for in the podcast. Oh, last point. I want to ask you guys this. Emmy right now hasn't been firing off. I think he only has one shot on target over 180 minutes. And if you go back to last year, I think the last time he scored a goal was before the Ford Madison game. I think, if memory serves me right. Any worries about that so far with Emmy?
No.
Okay.
No, I think with regards to him as the type of striker he is, he's gonna have cold spells, and then all of a sudden he's gonna have 4 goals in 3 games. So
All right.
I don't think we really need to worry too much.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I don't think so either. So guys, we've actually done this podcast under 45 minutes. Look at us. Sticking on script. Proud of y'all. Without distracting. Any last things before we wrap up, my good man?
I mean, Saturday home opener, I got to imagine if you're listening to this, you're going to probably show up anyway. But bring friends. I've been seeing all these other teams in the league like, ooh, look at our great attendance, 3,000, blah blah blah. I mean, let's just show them all up. Think about back to how fun those games were. At the end of last year when it was actually kind of packed and crowded in there. Bring everyone. It's been what 5 months since we got to see the Heroes in person in a proper game. What are you waiting for?
Right. I can't wait to get back into Section O and hear the first smoke bomb. I can't wait.
You're going to show up down there and not sit yourself up in the in the media section in the booth.
I might. Don't get me wrong. I'm still gonna be in the media section, but I'm gonna come down, hang out. I have luxury now, okay, sir. I will take air conditioning any day. Well, let me take that back. I will sit in the media box definitely starting in June. I love y'all,
Ooh.
but that AC is a difference.
Especially all that concrete around City Stadium, you want to be in that press box. But yeah, no, pack the stadium. Let's pack the stadium. Let's make it loud in there. Get those boys going. And I one thing, going back to what we were talking about with Darren being more attacking at home, I think it's by design, but also I think the players take it that much further when the stadium is packed. I think it rubs off on them. I think it gets them going. So home opener against Charlotte. Charlotte have a solid defense. Let's get these boys plowing through that defense.
Yeah. So with that being said, y'all, you can catch the show on rivercity93.com, all your podcast apps, on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube or through podcast, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, we will holler at you guys next week. Up the Rouge, y'all.